Hey everyone, before we begin the video, we want to let you know about David the Good's new book, Create Your Own Florida Food Forest. This book is a fantastic guide for gardeners of all skill levels. It goes over all the major plants you can grow in Florida, with detailed information and illustrations for each of them. We actually did several of the illustrations ourselves. If you are a Florida gardener, please check it out. I'm certain you're going to find a lot of value in it.
All right, so this is our end of summer garden tour. So I'm going to take you around and show you some of our favorite plants that we grew this year. So right now we're standing in basically a field of watermelon. So this is our front yard, and well, as you can see, we pretty much got watermelon plants all over the front. I don't even know how many we have here at the moment, but we've gotten about a dozen we've opened up so far. We're still kind of finding the trick as far as when they're ripe. Some of the ones we've opened up have been pretty good and some of them not so much. So it's all trial and error. And then if you look right here, we've got a Moringa tree. This one's a little bit smaller. This might be one of the dwarf Moringas we have. And then if you look over there, there's another one. So this is another plant that we really like to grow. Here we've got roselle. This is also one of my favorite plants to grow. This one definitely likes the heat. It really takes off once you get into the middle of the summer. It really starts to get bigger and taller. This one would be taller, but I've been taking the tips off of it to make more cuttings. And this was, I believe, a type of rose mallow, so this is also related to the roselle. This one also has edible leaves. It is a little bit thorny though. And another one that is also a member of the roselle family and the hibiscus family, cranberry hibiscus. This one has a very beautiful colored foliage on it. This one also gets like the calyxes like the roselle and some really pretty flowers. So these ones I think are very pretty even just for the landscape look. And here are some zinnias. I just like them as a pollinator flower because it attracts all the butterflies and bees. And I think they're just pretty to look at. Now here's the herb garden, which kind of needs some weeding done. But this is one of my favorite areas in the garden. Oh, look at, there's a watermelon in there too. But here we've got some of the lavender. We've got some lemon balm, Genovese basil. There's Korean mint in here. I really like this Korean mint. It's kind of similar to the anise, I would say, in flavor. It's not really a mint, but it's very, very sweet. Actually, licorice flavor, that's, I think, the better way to describe it. Let's see, and then here's Nufar basil. I think this was also the Nufar basil here. And then over here, the perpetual basil. It's kind of like a variegated look to it. And over here was the purple and green holy basil. But as you can see, basils are one of my favorite plants. All right, and in this bed here we have orange mint. So this is all that growing around. And I also got some pigeon peas in here. And here is what it is, a rosy basil. I believe this is one I had overwintered, or at least taken a cutting from one I'd overwintered. But it's interesting because it's got this different pattern to it where it's like all like splotchy purple and green. So it's just kind of different than what it normally looks like. So actually, and you can see this is from the same stock, and this is totally green here. So that's just kind of an interesting color, the way it turned out. Well, and over here you can see some of our banana trees and our shampoo ginger. which actually it looks like here it's getting flowers on it. And the shampoo part, as you can see, it's squeezing out. Which that always smells so good, it smells like ginger. But that's good for like soap, and we even just rub it on our skin and use it kind of like aloe. Because it's just kind of nice and moisturizing. Let's see, and here was some more ginger, but this I believe is a white ginger. It might be Thai ginger. I know I harvested some of this last year to save to dry and make into tea. We've got a lot of sweet potatoes kind of coming through. And this plant, you see here, in fact this is all over the place elsewhere too, is African potato mint. That one, it's not really a mint, it's actually a root vegetable. We have yet to try it, but it definitely is very easily propagated, we've learned. Whenever we trim it, I just take some and put it in a jar of water and it gets roots really quickly, but here's some more. I'm hoping, and I'm kind of experimenting with it, I've been trimming back a lot of the greens throughout the summer, hoping that'll help make the root vegetable bigger when we come time to harvest it later, so we'll see if that worked. And that's another purple and green holy basil here. That was actually given to us by a friend. I wasn't aware, but sometimes this gives off like a scent that almost smells like bubble gum. That's what the friend had said, and I hadn't noticed it, but one day when I was watering it, I suddenly got this waft of bubble gum. So it does actually smell like that. Then I believe that's peanuts growing in there. This was the four-cornered winged bean, I believe. That's something new we've just tried. We also have a lot of strawberries throughout here, if you look. And over here is a collection of various trees. Still in pots, so we'll still have to plant those. I mean, that includes, I know a lot of them are pecan, there's mulberry. I think we got like a neem tree, kumquat, I believe that is. That's another mulberry, some fig. I think this is the persimmons, yeah. More potato mint. Like I said, you'll see that like everywhere, but that is one of my favorite plants. And then you can see through here the squash vines that are everywhere. That is the kusha squash vines, and in a moment I'll show you the squashes that are growing on them because they're very big and I'm very excited about those. Oh, and this is African basil. This looks pretty different than your typical basil. I mean, the flowers still look like basil flowers, but yeah, this is a pretty tall and it's got different textured leaves too. All right, and this definitely was one of the favorite plants of the summer, the Cucuza squash. So you can see there's still a few hanging on here that we left to kind of get hard. But there is some, like here's one, a more fresh one that's growing still. I don't even remember how many of these we got this summer, but it sure was a lot. I ended up cooking them similar to like a zucchini. I sliced them up and sauteed them in coconut oil and seasonings, but that was pretty good to have at dinner. Okay, here's the kusha. So there are two here, the small one, and then this one. Fortunately, I think I already got some bugs getting in that one. Actually, there's a baby cucuza right there. I don't know how many pounds this one must be. But it's definitely big, that's for sure. So I'm excited to see how that'll That one will be once we pick it. And there's one over here too, also pretty big. There's the other kusha in here. That one's pretty big. Okra, that was another one that was a favorite of this summer. They grew really well, they grew really fast, and we've gotten a lot of okra off them, which has also been good too because we do feed it to the chickens. And Jack the parakeet also, he likes eating okra too. And that right here is the spicy globe bush basil. This one was also one of my favorite basils of this year. I think this one grew the best too. I had a lot of issues with some of the basils. I don't know if they just got too much sun and they dried out, but this one here did really well. So that is one of my favorites, definitely. And here's mulberry. And here was an Egyptian spinach. I do like these plants. This one, for some reason, we had a hard time growing it this year too, so this one we actually had to buy from someone. This one looks like it's doing fine, but I don't know why. It's been an interesting year. Things that did well last year didn't do well this year, vice versa. And here's the pomegranate tree. So this was grown from seed. And after it got put in the ground, it definitely took off. I've got a few more in pots, but this is definitely the biggest one. And then canna lilies, because I just like canna lilies. These ones do have edible roots on them you can eat, so edible tubers. You can use the leaves for chicken fodder. I've tried, but the chickens don't really seem to prefer eating these, so doesn't exactly help in that way, but otherwise it's also a good, if you just chop off the leaves, it's also good to green mulch your garden and get more fertilizer in. And then up here again, more okra. I believe this was a lemongrass, and more sweet potatoes. We made a lot of sweet potato slips and just put them in all over in this front area. Here is a roselle. This, I think, was a different variety though, because the leaves are a bit different than the ones we had in front of the house. Actually, I can show you the calyxes now. There's the calyxes. It was fun harvesting all those last year. We had so many of them. I took them and pulled them apart to dry them for tea. One of my fingers were like purple for a long time after that. And here's some more canna lilies, a different variety, different colored flower. I don't think I'd pointed out there's bananas up there. We don't know what variety those are though. And actually there's a moringa inside of here too. So the big plants up there, you see the one that's kind of leaned toward there, those are sorghums. That's like a grain plant. Mainly we've been growing that hopefully so that the animals could eat some of that. But we have yet to learn how to process that. And this is Thai bottle gourd. This one also I grew last year. This one seems to grow pretty well and is pretty vibrant and climbing all over the place and making itself at home. And then there's a few broccoli plants in here. Those are actually almost about 2 years. Is that right? Because I had these last year. And then there's some Brussels sprout in there, and I think that might be another broccoli. Here's more shampoo ginger, but this is actually coming in from the neighbor's side. And some kind of pumpkin or squash. I think this was Seminole pumpkin, possibly. And then here we've got elderberry. Actually, if you look, there's a few berries. Actually turned dark. And then if you look up, you can see how tall the moringa is. That's our biggest moringa. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the tour of our garden. That's what it looks like at the end of summer. We're getting ready to start putting in all of our crops for the fall and things that we'll be using throughout the winter. So for some of these guys, it's probably the last of the season for them, but I'll be back with another video later on to show you some of the stuff that we planted for fall and winter. So hope you enjoyed.